You're listening to Murder Not Murdering with Erin,
And Autumn,
a true crime podcast about murder and murdering.
but we are not murderers.
All right, everybody, we are back at Murder Not Murdering with Erin and
Autumn.
who's back after her stint as Fran Jenkins.
That was miserable. That cough. Well, I still have it a little bit, but at least now my voice is back so everyone can listen without having to want to make me stop talking.
For real. Yeah, it was, none of you know this, but I had to edit out a significant amount of coughing throughout, but
Yes, it was really bad.
I'm still really happy that I didn't have to do it all by myself, though. I'm glad you were there in emotional support throughout
Yes.
my case.
It was a good case. I was happy to listen to it. I just didn't think everyone wanted to hear me talk.
No, and I really don't know how. I think it would have taken you forever to try to get through
I
it
think so
just
too.
with the coughing, and then also, you probably could have lost your voice even, or, it was
Yeah.
a lot.
And then
And
now I've
then,
passed it on to Dustin.
yeah, she coughed in his face on purpose.
It's like, if I have to suffer, so do you.
Now you know what it was like. Although you know how guys are, they get
They have it like 10
m
times worse in their attitude.
exactly. It's the man cold or man flu is
Mhm.
significantly worse than anything a woman could have to go through.
Hintley.
Mhm. Yeah.
I don't know how he did it.
Who knows? But I'm glad somewhere out in that world, patient 0, man, she was just out there spreading it in the grocery store.
Man, I should do Instacart.
But the thing is you never know, right? People cough on your groceries.
Yeah, I'm just kidding.
We all clean our fruit and veg, right?
Yes.
But, germs are germs and, it's gonna happen at some point. It just
I mean,
sucks
it's not
that
like I
it
can
was
stay inside all day every day, but
no. You would be happy with that.
I would, yes. I'm a huge homebody, but it wouldn't be good for my mental health, I don't think, after a while.
No, I feel like you would actually murder Dustin.
I probably would.
Yeah.
His life would probably be in danger, that's for
You'd
sure.
go crazy, and then, of course, he's the only person close to you.
Mhm.
Then you and the cats would just be chilling together all the time.
We would, yes.
Uh, so I sent a thing to you and Tim the other day that I saw on Instagram, and it was a documentary that's coming out about a lady who lived in this neighborhood, and people just knew that she had dead bodies in her house, and they did literally, like, nothing about it. They were just like, "She's eccentric, she's weird." She had, like, a whole table dinner scene set up with the bodies there, like, as they were decomposing. She'd even be like, I forget the guy's name, but I'm gonna use Elmer as an example. She'd be like, "Yeah, Elmer's ear's starting to fall off." Because
Oh my god,
did you
what?
not
I don't
watch
think
that? My
no.
god, Tim commented, he's like, "That is so gross." I'm like, "I know." I was like,
No,
"So
I
weird."
was pretty sick, so I wasn't really doing much,
Yeah,
but
it was just a
I'll have
really
to
weird
watch that.
thing.
That is
Yeah,
disgusting, Erin.
I know. I was just like, "What the hell?" And they were like, "Yeah, she was just eccentric."
Oh my that's
That's more.
an
I mean,
understatement, because I
how
think that's disgust that's fucked up. I mean, what else can you say?
and just being like, "Oh, that's Elsie," or whatever.
Dude.
Just so weird. Oh my god.
No.
Yeah. So, I get she didn't kill them, so it's not like it's true crime, but I don't believe you can store bodies in your house.
Wait, she didn't kill them yet. She had multiple how did they end up at her
They were
home?
they were it was her husband who died, probably natural causes or something, and then she had, like, her mom or another older person who passed away in her home, and they were or an aunt, I think it was an aunt.
OMG.
I'm not giving you guys the best information on this, but I'm giving you the
No,
gist, and
now inquiring minds need to know.
we'll post about it.
Yeah, because
It
that's
was
interesting. I'll repost whatever Erin sent me.
yes,
I'll
it is
share it on our
so
Instagram.
it's so fucking bizarre. It's just like, "What?" And the thing is like, the people that are coming in are, like, neighbors and family members and stuff, and they're all just talking about how this neighbor had these bodies in her house. I was just, like, baffled by the whole thing, and it was really
Yeah,
gross.
that's very unusual.
Plus, the thing is, like, bodies decomposing is, like, so gross. Like,
I mean,
we all, like, our skin falls off and,
okay,
like, it
it's enough.
smells. There's an
Okay,
odor.
okay. Oh,
There's
gross. Okay,
liquids,
Erin.
Well, it's true.
I think we got the picture.
I mean, my god, I can't even.
Seriously can't. That is
Yeah.
so disgusting.
Just imagine just going over to your sweet little old lady neighbor house and then her being like, "Oh, why don't you come in and say hi to my family?" And you walk in and you're like, "What the actual fuck?" Like,
If she introduced me to some dead bodies, let me tell you right now, I would be like, "Wow, it's so nice to meet them." I think I have some low blood sugar. Gots to fucking go. And
would
then,
you just shake their hand and then go?
oh hell, I would not touch them. I would be gone. I would fake some kind of medical emergency. Shit
Yeah.
would be hitting the fan. I
We
would
would
be
have I'd have
literally
a
calling the police as I left the house.
I would be getting one of those, "Oh, very important phone call. I have to go back and feed the cat. I'm sorry. I need to go right now. It's an emergency." And then, yeah, I would call the police immediately, but they didn't. And that's the craziest part of it all. And there's a documentary out there, and I will tell you at some point what the name of it is, but it's fucking crazy.
That
I
is
just thought I would bring
absolutely
it up
disturbing.
because I just thought I'd bring it up at the beginning of this because I thought I wasn't sure if you'd watched it, but Tim commented. I was just like, "Oh my god," because
Not yet, but I will
obviously we
have to
ha
watch it now.
obviously, we have a group chat, so it was in our group chat. It's ridiculous, though. I can't even.
I'm gonna probably have nightmares when I watch it.
Yeah. Well, speaking of dead bodies,
Oh, shit.
a typical transition there. Luckily, this week we get to hear Autumn's case that has been waiting in the rafters for us.
This is true. It's very
And
true.
because I was the only one that did a case last week. Autumn was going to start us off. And then I will do my case at the end, which I gotta be completely honest, it took me forever to find a case that I wanted to cover.
I have too many, and that's my
I
problem.
I have a lot, but, because of the stipulations I kind of put on myself for the kind of cases that I like to cover, it's like I feel like I've been through so many of them that I'm, like, not running out of cases, obviously, but ones that interest me. So I just wanna put it out there to the listeners that if you have old time crime cases that you really want me to cover, please DM us on Instagram at Murder Not Murdering,
I have a
or
few.
or you can email us at murdernotmurdering@gmail.com.
I'll send
So
you a couple.
yeah, Autumn will send me some, but I would love it if the rest of y'all thought about it and were like, "Hey, you know what? I bet you Erin would like to cover that case. It seems up her alley." Send them to me because it's not like I mean, I have a list. I have a huge ass list, but none of them were interesting me this week. And so it like took me a minute to get to this one. And I've had this one in my list forever. And I just thought, you know what? Now's the time to pull this guy out because I've been doing like these court trial groundbreaking sort of cases. This one's not that, but it's an interesting one. But it took me forever to decide. I was like not writer's block, but just something where my brain was just like not interested, not interested because you have to really be
Mhm.
interested to sit down, spend
And
hours
right,
of
yeah.
research and then
Researching.
write. And be excited to write it. We spend a lot of time working on what we do. And, facts are super important to us, so it ends up being hours of reading and research. So, you're welcome.
Yeah, it
But
is quite extensive.
It is, it is. This is a labor of love for us. We don't make any money at it. We'd love to. If someone would like to pay us to do this, I would be more than happy to do
Right.
that. But as of right now, it is a labor of love. So make sure to get out there and share with your friends and let them know if they're into true crime, they want Pacific Northwest stuff. We tend to try to lean down that direction. Please do. And if you have ideas, I mean, I'll do modern cases too, but I usually try not to so that we don't overlap or that
Girl, there's so many. You can do
there's
modern
so many.
cases.
I know, but I also like the early forensic stuff.
Mhm.
That's my bag. So, anywho, that was my spiel on that. I think we should jump into Autumn's case now and find out what the heck we've been waiting for.
You're in for
A
a
treat? A
Pacific
tasty treat?
North no, a Pacific Northwest thriller.
Ooh, I love this.
Listen, I don't know if thriller is the right word. That's not the right word.
Oh,
Mystery.
okay, that'll do. Pacific Northwest, loving that fact.
And I'm not gonna tell you more. We're just gonna have to listen.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll do it.
I think you forgot the secret.
What's the secret?
It's solved.
That's the best part. I am desperate for it.
I know. I threw you a bone, girl.
Autumn leaves me hanging all the time with these unsolved murder mysteries, and then it just keeps me up. I need some that are solved, please.
This one is solved. I
Yay.
kind of ruined it for everyone, but it's solved.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. I mean, this one's kind of well known. I wouldn't call it famous,
Yeah.
but I feel like it's well known, especially if you're from the Pacific Northwest.
Okay, let's get into this.
This is the disappearance of Brooke Wilberger. Brooke was on summer break in late May 2004, staying with one of her sisters in Corvallis, Oregon. Corvallis is a picturesque Oregon city of about 54,000 people. It's a place most people would consider ideal for raising a family, but even idyllic places can be visited by crime. It was a normal day for the family. Her sister and brother in law managed the apartment complex Oaks Park Apartments, just on the edge of the Oregon State University campus. That morning, Brooke was last seen cleaning the lampposts in the parking lot. That was the last time she was seen alive. And her family would ask themselves, when was the last moment everything was still okay? Because for Brooke, that moment existed somewhere between that chore, surrounded by apartment buildings, open doors, and people moving through their routines without realizing they were passing by the edge of something they could never have predicted. Before everything else, before the timelines and searches and investigation, there was Brooke. Born in Fresno, California on February 20th, 1985, she was 19 years old, recently graduated from high school, and home for the summer after finishing her first year at Brigham Young University. She had grown up in a close-knit family, having 3 sisters and 2 brothers, one that valued structure, faith, and connection. She was a devout member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and she had a boyfriend named Justin Blake, who was serving as a Mormon missionary in Venezuela in 2004. Her family has often described her as steady and thoughtful, someone who didn't drift far from expectations. Not because she had to, but because it was simply who she was. And Brooke fit into that rhythm naturally. She was dependable, not in a forced way, but in the way that some people just are. The kind of person who shows up when they say they will, who answers calls, who doesn't leave loose ends behind. Which is why what happened next felt immediately wrong. May 24th, 2004. That morning, around 8 to 9 a.m., Brooke went to work at the Oak Park Apartments in Corvallis. She had been hired by her sister and brother-in-law to help clean and prepare units for incoming tenants, moving between apartments, working independently, handling small tasks that filled that day. Sometime late in the morning, Brooke was last seen by her sister Stephanie Hansen, working around the complex, cleaning the lampposts. She was cleaning the bulb covers of the tall lamps that lined the apartment complex parking lot with a bucket of water and a rag. Around midday, her sister was preparing lunch for herself and her children, as well as for Brooke. She glanced out the door to the parking lot where she had last seen Brooke cleaning the lampposts. But something was missing. Brooke. Call it a sister's intuition, but she knew something was immediately wrong. Left in the parking lot was a bucket of water and cleaning supplies, and Brooke's flip-flops. This was not like her, to leave the job mid-task and also to leave without her shoes. Stephanie noticed that she had left her car keys and purse in their apartment, and her car was in the lot. She couldn't imagine that she would have gone for a walk or gone somewhere without her shoes or her purse. I got very nervous. We had exhausted every possibility. We had searched all the apartments that she could possibly be working in. We looked everywhere. Then we called the police, her sister recalled, according to an article in ABC News. In Brooke's case, those early hours were treated with urgency, and that likely changed the trajectory of the investigation. The lieutenant on the Corvallis Police Department, Ron Noble, who took the initial call, stated, "Normally, we would wait because adults can come and go as they please, and we would normally wait to see if she showed up, maybe the next day." But he said that the police officials all agreed with Brooke's sister. They sensed Brooke was not the sort of young woman to disappear on her own. What followed was one of the largest search efforts ever seen in that area. In Corvallis and the surrounding regions, volunteers arrived in overwhelming numbers. Thousands of people, students, neighbors, strangers who never met Brooke but felt pulled into the gravity of what had happened. Search grids stretched across open fields, rural farmland, dense wooded areas, roadways, and drainage spaces. Flyers were everywhere. Her face became instantly recognizable. And for a while, it felt like the kind of case that might break quickly. But it didn't. Investigators began working through the timeline piece by piece. They focused heavily on who had been at the apartment complex that day, maintenance staff and contractors, residents and visitors, and anyone moving through the area during that window. There were reports of suspicious activity. Tips came in, some helpful, many not. The usual suspect, the boyfriend or husband, was eliminated early on, as Justin, her boyfriend since high school, was on that Mormon missionary trip in Venezuela. Justin had mentioned that marriage was on the horizon for the couple.
That's sad.
It's so sad. And like so many cases, the sheer volume of information became both an asset and a challenge. Because somewhere in that flood of details, the truth was sitting. They had searched thousands of acres, received over 5,000 tips, investigated about 60 persons of interest, and had a list of about 250 suspicious vehicles. But nothing had turned up any clues as to where Brooke was or who may have taken her. Nearly a year later, investigators named a person of interest, Sung-Koo Kim, although he was later dropped as a suspect. However, he did receive an 11-year prison sentence for multiple counts of burglary and theft of women's personal property in Yamhill County. These crimes were uncovered while he was being investigated for Brooke's disappearance. He had thousands of pairs of women's underwear in his possession,
Gross.
among other disturbing materials, such as explicit photos. He had a pair of her underwear,
I
but
hate that.
repulsive. Who's collecting? He admitted that he had a obsession with women's underwear. What the hell,
Gross.
dude?
I don't like that.
No. He served 7 years and was released in December of 2012. In November of 2004, months after Brooke's disappearance, a man named Joel Courtney was arrested in Albuquerque, New Mexico for kidnapping and sexually assaulting a college student. She survived the attack and was able to identify him. What detectives were looking into in that case showed a very specific pattern: abduction, restraint, and sexual assault. That immediately caught the attention of Oregon investigators. Once they looked into it more closely, they realized that Joel had been in Corvallis, Oregon, the exact day that Brooke vanished. He even owned a green Dodge Caravan, which was one of the suspicious vehicles that had been named by witnesses. Joel Courtney was not a stranger to law enforcement. At the time, he was already being investigated in connection with another sexual assault case. And as investigators dug deeper, a connection to Brooke began to form. It wasn't one single piece of evidence, it was a collection of details. Witness statements placing him in the area, behavioral patterns, investigative pressure building over time. Eventually, it led to a confession. On May
Really?
Mhm. On May 24th, 2004, according to a KGW8 article, Joel Courtney was scheduled to appear in a Lincoln County court. Instead, he is in Corvallis driving around the Oregon State University campus in a green Dodge Caravan belonging to his employer, Creative Building Maintenance, where he was working as of recently, getting the job with the help of his brother-in-law. He is using cocaine. Brooke was cleaning the lampposts at the Oak Park Apartments near Reser Stadium. Joel stops and asks Randy Honred for directions to a fraternity house. He gets out of the van, opens the side panel door, and asks her to come closer. Randy feels uncomfortable and quickly walks away to a class across campus. Joel then drives on, stopping at Western Avenue, where he asks Crystal Thornton for directions to an athletic department building. Crystal is on the phone with her mother. Bob Clifford, an assistant athletic director, is leaving his office at this moment and gets into his car in the Reser parking lot. He drives towards Western Avenue and notices Crystal and Joel. He senses something is wrong and rolls up next to the open door of the van. He tries but fails to get Joel's attention, so he drives to the front of the van and puts his transmission in park. He looks over his shoulder and stares Joel down. Crystal has remained on the phone with her mother. Both Bob and Crystal agree they are troubled by the encounter with Joel, and she walks away. When Bob sees Crystal walk off safely, he also drives off. Joel gets back into the van and goes several blocks to the Oak Park Apartments. He sees Brooke and positions his van between her and the apartment buildings, so she is out of the line of sight of tenants and her sister, and essentially traps her in that portion of the lot. Joel comes out of the van carrying a FedEx envelope as a ruse to be able to closely approach Brooke. That's when he abducts her by knife point, pulling her into the van. Witnesses report hearing a blood-curdling scream, and he drives the two of them a short distance away and binds her with duct tape. Joel then drives deep into the woods of the Coast Range. Initially, he takes her for walks in the woods, almost as if he was trying to take her on a date. She pleads with him to release her and promises she won't tell anyone what happened. At some point that night, Joel drives her back into town in the van and gets hamburgers at a McDonald's drive-thru. Even after the confession, there was still one devastating unknown. Brooke had not been found. And without that, there was no real ending. For 5 years, her family lived in that space.
How incredibly frustrating for them.
I mean, shit. They know that he killed her, but they don't know where she is. So knowing what had happened, but not knowing where she was, and that kind of waiting is unimaginable. It stretches time, it reshapes grief, it leaves questions that don't have a place to land. So, in 2009, as part of a plea agreement, Joel Courtney finally led investigators to Brooke's remains in a remote area of Oregon. After 5 years, she was found.
My God.
There are moments in cases like this that feel quiet, even when they carry enormous weight. This was one of them. No large announcement can really hold that kind of moment. It's something much more personal than that. When you look at this case, there are a few things that stand out, not as speculation, but as patterns. First, opportunity. Brooke was working alone, moving between units, cleaning lampposts, in spaces where visibility shifted. Second was timing. The window in which she disappeared was incredibly narrow, which suggests that whoever took her was either watching, waiting, or moving through the area with awareness.
And it happened fast.
And it happened fast. I mean, he had a ruse with the FedEx. Like, he approached her, he knew what he was doing.
Absolutely.
There's something about Brooke's story that lingers even after all this time in a very specific way. Maybe it's the ordinariness of that day. Maybe it's how quickly everything shifted. Or maybe it's the fact that for so long the story remained unfinished. But even within that, there's something else that stands out. The people who showed up, the searchers who kept going, the investigators who stayed with the case, and a family who refused to let Brooke become just a name in a file. Her story didn't disappear. It was carried by thousands of people over years until it finally came back to her. My sources were CBS News, OregonLive.com, Wikipedia, ABC News, KGW8, public statements from the investigators and family, and Oregon News Archives.
Oh,
Like, what a fucking monster. This man was just tearing up women's lives left and right.
it's just really sad. And this is nothing she did. There's no,
No,
you know
she
what I
was
mean? This is just
mm, she was on
so fucking awful.
summer break helping her brother-in-law and sister. I mean, she was with her high school boyfriend. He was on a missionary trip. I mean, this man just wrecked this woman's whole future.
Yeah, it's just awful. What a terrible human being.
I know, but it was solved. So
Thank you for
we
that.
we can we can we can be thankful that her family has answers.
Well, most definitely. It just sucks it took so long for them to get to it.
Agreed.
All right. We are going to get into my case. And I do have a title for this one. And it definitely gives away the plot. But, what the fuck? Might as well.
Might as well.
Might as well. So my case is called The Wedding Gift Bomb.
Ooh.
It's July 22nd, 1936, a warm Virginia evening. newlyweds, a quiet country road, a stop at the post office, routine, forgettable. And then a package, wrapped in brown paper tied with string, a wedding gift. They wait until they get home. They sit in the car. He opens it. There's a faint snap, a hiss, and then an explosion so violent it scatters pieces of the car across the property.
My God.
He dies instantly. She's thrown from the vehicle, bleeding and blinded in one eye. And just like that, a marriage barely 6 weeks old becomes a murder investigation. Cape Charles, Virginia, a place where life moved slowly, where wealth looked like land, not flashy or lavish, where reputation mattered. Curry S. Thompson was exactly the kind of man who fit in there. A well-to-do farmer, respected, established, a widower after his first wife died tragically in a train accident just 2 years earlier. Then came Elsie. Elsie Dickinson Salmons, divorced, poised, and by all accounts, charming. She had been working as a dental assistant in North Carolina before arriving in Curry's world. They meet. They fall in love. And on June 10th, 1936, they marry. Fast, decisively, maybe even a little impulsively. Within weeks, Elsie is moved to Curry's estate, the Hermitage, a stately home looking over Kings Creek. It looks like a second chance at happiness for both of them. But what no one in Cape Charles fully understood yet was that Elsie didn't arrive alone. Not really, because she had a past, baggage, and that person was still watching. July 22nd, 1936, the Thomases stop at the post office after a golf game. There's a package waiting. It's small, brown, ordinary, addressed to Curry, with a return address that appears to be him. That detail alone is strange, but not strange enough. Not in a time when jokes, pranks, and wedding gifts were common. Friends even joked about it. Oh, it's a wedding present. They laugh, they leave, and they drive home. And here's the moment that changes everything. They didn't make it inside. In a moment's notice, lives were forever altered. Curry opens the package in the car. Inside, something triggers a snap, a burning fuse, and he attempts to throw it out the window. But unfortunately, it was too late. The explosion killed him instantly with a force so strong that it hurled his body through the top of the vehicle.
Oh my God.
Elsie survives, but barely. Neighbors hear it from miles away. Shrapnel tears through the vehicle. The scene is chaos. And within hours, this quiet rural community becomes the site of one of the most shocking crimes of its time. Because in 1936, mail bombs weren't just rare, they were unheard of. The only witness is Elsie. She can't speak, she is too injured. So investigators are left with something far more difficult: debris, fragments, ash, and questions. Postal inspectors arrive quickly because this isn't just a murder case, it's a federal case now. Anything sent through the mail falls under their jurisdiction. So they get to work, sifting through the wreckage piece by piece. They recover fragments of a steel pipe, iron caps, twine, battery remnants, and evidence of dynamite. This isn't just amateur work. This is deliberate, constructed, engineered to kill two people upon opening. Exactly what a mail bomb is designed to do. So they do something unusual, especially in 1936. They rebuild the bomb, a replica, to understand how it worked. But understanding doesn't answer the real question. Who? Who could have done this? And more importantly, why? At first, they find nothing. Friends are questioned. Family is questioned. No clear enemies. No obvious motive. They were newlyweds. People were happy for them. Then, in the second round of interviews, finally, a crack. Someone mentioned something about Elsie, something from before her marriage, a relationship, her former employer, a dentist, Dr. Harvey R. Hage. And suddenly, everything changes, everything shifts. Things are starting to come into focus. Dr. Hage wasn't just an employer, he was involved with Elsie deeply, emotionally, possibly physically.
Oh.
And here's where it gets messy. He was married with children.
Oh, of
And
course he was.
of course he was. And he refuses to leave his wife. So Elsie left him instead. She moves on. When she met Curry, she was still working at the dentist office. She tells him about it. She says she's moving. He, at that point, tells her he's happy for her and he's elated that she's moving on. But that's not the real story. She was in love. She gets engaged. And then Dr. Hage doesn't accept it. He writes her again and again, begging and pleading, demanding. And at one point in one of his letters, he says if he can't have her, no one could.
Of course.
And also, you weren't going to leave your wife, bro.
No, but he wants everything. He's
Yeah,
selfish.
just be my side chick.
Mhm.
Now the motive isn't just clear, it's explosive, for lack of a better phrase.
Mhm.
But motive isn't enough. They need evidence. And this is where the investigation becomes meticulous. Through remnants at the scene of the crime, they learned that the bomb had been built from a mouse trap, a small battery, a fuse, and a dynamite in a piece of pipe. Every fragment of that bomb becomes a breadcrumb. The battery gets traced through manufacturing channels. The typed label connected geographically. Even the materials used all begin pointing towards one place, North Carolina, where Dr. Hage lives. Evidence places him where the bomb was mailed. Even the string that was bound on the package was traced to Dr. Hage's supply house. There are also witnesses from Richmond in the post office who placed Dr. Hage and his friend and possible accomplice, Edward Banner, there the day the bomb was mailed. Piece by piece, the case is tightening. October 1936, less than 3 months after the bombing, inspectors move in. Dr. Hage is arrested after a pursuit through the Blue Ridge Mountains. He's taken into custody, and immediately things start unraveling. While in jail, he attempts suicide. Within hours, Deputy John R. Womble found him in his cell, bleeding from the wrists. When Dr. Holland Trower was summoned to stitch up the wound, Dr. Hage insisted he must have broken the crystal of his watch as he rolled over while sleeping. We don't believe him.
No.
But the message is clear. This man is under pressure, a guilty man. He is a man who knows what is coming. Even with the evidence, he denies everything to his lawyers, to authorities. He says, I may have been indiscreet, but I had nothing to do with that bomb. He hires attorneys. He asks for his wife. He tries to maintain control, but the walls are closing in and quickly. On October 10th, Dr. Hage has a request from his cell. He complains of headaches and asks that they bring him his eyeglasses. They bring them and then leave him for the night. The next morning, he is found dead. He has broken the glasses and used the shards to cut his wrists and his throat.
Oh my God.
A brutal, desperate end. And just like that, the trial never happens. The story is never tested in court. And for investigators, the case is closed. Edward Banner, initially arrested as a possible accomplice, is cleared, although his part of it was providing a fake alibi for Dr. Hage, and he was with him when he mailed the package. Elsie survives. She recovers. Eventually, she remarries, moves to Texas, and lives decades beyond the explosion, which makes me so happy.
Mhm.
Curry Thomas was buried within days of his death, and Cape Charles returns slowly to quiet. But not completely, because this case, it lingers. In 1936, this wasn't just a murder, this was something new, a killing delivered through mail, a weapon disguised as something joyful, a wedding gift. And while mail bombs had existed before, cases like this were rare, shocking, and deeply unsettling. A package, a promise, a second chance at love, all destroyed in seconds, not by an accident, not by chance, but by obsession, by jealousy, by a man who decided if he can't have her, no one would. And though we are pretty sure we all know of Dr. Hage's guilt, it makes you wonder, without a conviction, was there really justice? The last piece of this case ends in irony. Dr. Hage's house in Mount Airy was built in 1925. It was incredible. And at one time, it was listed in the National Register of Historic Places. But it was demolished in 1992 to make room for the future expansion of the local post office.
Oh my gosh, that is
Mm.
irony.
My sources were the United States Postal Inspection Service, the wedding gift bomb, Eastern Shore Post, remembering the mail bomb that rocked Cape Charles, Wikipedia, the Mount Airy News, the Historical Archives of the Virginia Chronicle, and the Surrey Digital Heritage Archives.
My gosh.
I know. The
That's so
crazy
sad. And he had
it's
lost a wife and oh my gosh.
I know, and to find love again, that they both found love again because she was divorced. It
Mhm.
wasn't from everything I've read, it wasn't messy, but she was divorced and she kind of it not clear if it was maybe like an emotional affair between them. Doesn't really prove that anything was physical. There's not copies of the letters, just little tidbits about that he was writing her a lot of letters. So obviously they had that evidence at some point.
Mhm.
But, he was and he pretended when she was leaving her job, he's like, "Happy, so happy you moved on." And then he starts writing her over and over and over and is like, "No one can have you." They go to pick up the package, which is weird that it had her husband's name on it as the return address.
Mhm.
But they were like, "Oh, it's just like a gag gift from our friends," because people would send silly letters and stuff through the mail all the time. So they all just thought it was like something funny. They were joking about it at the post office. The other crazy thing, and I didn't mention this in my case, but I read about uh I found these letters that were written through the post office where the person that identified Dr. Hage, the person working at the post office, she asked for a reward in money for giving them that information. And
Oh,
there's a big back and forth because it was her and 2 other witnesses that worked at the post office. She got $2,000 for her
wow.
testimony, and at first they were like, "We'll give at max 300 just to her because she did most of the testimony." The other guys were like, "We don't even remember." But they all got money. She got $2,000 for her part in testifying that he was the guy. But, I mean, it was like reward money for information leading to the crime. Isn't that
Wow.
crazy? And the post
Mhm.
office paid her.
Wow.
I know. Anyway, I have, it's a very, like, small case. It doesn't have a ton of information, so I really had to dive deep for finding articles and, like, original newspaper articles as well to find all the information. But the thing that stuck out to me, probably one of the most crazy details of it all, was that when the explosion happened, Curry was literally thrown through the rooftop of the car.
So crazy.
And if you're wondering what that looks like, we will be posting a picture of it on our Instagram page
Oh,
because there is, of course, a photo of the car involved and all the people. And we always like to follow up so you can put faces to the names that you hear in the podcast. So if you follow us on Murder Not Murdering on Instagram, you will see pictures of everybody involved in both of our cases. So check that out. You can also find us on Reddit at Murder Not Murdering. And Autumn is the moderator on there, so she'll be the one talking to you.
It's
Not
true.
not I. And new cases come out every Monday, so make sure to look out for those. Subscribe to our podcast. That way you know when new episodes are out. Autumn, do you have anything else to add?
Nope, not right now, but I'm thankful that everyone bared with us for my awful voice last week. So,
Yeah, it was a little, if it was just a little huskier, you, you could have sounded like one of those phone operators.
ooh,
1-900 Fran
the
Jenkins.
1-900 Fran Jenkins. What?
I don't know if any of you remember this, but back in the day, they used to have phone sex lines, and they always started with 1-900 because it charged you
Because you
per
had to be
minute.
charged. Yes. 1-800's free, 1-900 costs money.
That's right. If you want to talk to Fran Jenkins after she smoked a Virginia Slim, the only way is to pay for it.
Is to pay.
That's right. No free phone calls.
No free phone calls. Nowadays, there's no free feet pictures. Back then, there were no free phone calls.
That's right. It was OnlyFans, but on the telephone.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Anyways, we don't have a 900 number at Murder Not Murdering, but we
No,
do
we don't.
appreciate that you listen to us every week. And like I said, new episodes come out every Monday. So we will be back next week with 2 brand new cases for you. And yeah, that's it. Thank you for listening. Bye.
Bye.